Hey there, comic friends, I'm Travis, and this is another edition of No Capes, where I talk about comic books that don't have to do superheroes, and or Ethan doesn't read them, or doesn't review them along with me. But today, I have...
The disembodied voice!
Yay, talk some books with me. And you know what? I think the last time you talked books with me was a month ago, and I think these are the books we talked about then, too.
Oh.
Or some of them, anyway.
Yeah, probably.
It seems like it. It seems like we talked, well, yeah, we talked about some of these
Yeah, because I
before.
whine because I never get Saga. Anyway.
Yep, well, that's because you're always behind on Saga Week.
I know. I'm going to try and stay caught up now.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, so first up, we are going to talk. This is for the books for the first week of January 2014. First up, we're going to talk about Baltimore, Chapel of Bones, number 1 of 2.
Now this might be it.
That's the impression I got. I mean, you at the end of this one, it says, what, to be concluded.
You
Now,
know,
if that's just to conclude this story or if we're really done. Because when we start jumping into the book and started reading it, you know, was only, I don't know, 4 or 5 of these little micro series ago. So we're actually technically haven't read like half the series.
Well, I'm glad that we started at we jumped on at a spot where he was making clear his intention to take down this vampire guy who apparently he has finally found.
Well,
at least we think that's who that is.
or his friends have found it. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, they found him. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know either. But onto it. I find that the more I've read this, the more I have enjoyed these Baltimore stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to the second one just because, you know, end of an arc. But I'd like to see more Baltimore because I like him. But he might die since he doesn't really appear to have anything that he wants to stay alive for.
Other than the destruction
Other than getting this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else that happens to get in his way while he's getting to this guy.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I don't know that tons and tons happen in this issue, but it's so easy to get immersed in Baltimore's world. You know, all these street scenes of the people with the
Weird
leprosy or whatever it is that they have, the plaguey rashes that they have, which
and
are obviously
tells them there's no hope for them.
Which is all obvious signs of a plague that's not just your standard plague, but is some, you know, darkness that has descended upon the time and whatnot. That it just all seems really cool and really interesting and really like you're there because of all of that stuff. It just feels very immersed and whatnot. It's interesting hearing these 3 individuals who we've probably would have seen all 3 of these guys throughout the series.
In separate times.
Right.
Because they refer back to the issues that they were in. And
right.
I would have liked to have seen what happened with them, but you don't need to enjoy the story.
Well, right, because they give you enough. They give you enough of it, because, well, in our case, we've read enough stuff leading up to this. I mean, I can't imagine jumping in here. But we've read enough stuff leading up to this that just a little bit they say about Baltimore, you get a sense of, okay, this is what their experience of Baltimore was, and what, you know, and what is going forward.
And they run into this crazy author, poet. Artist, that's right.
Yeah, he's
I'm
a
sorry.
general artist.
I guess I was thinking that he should be a poet because they make him kind of look poish. The facial hair, he makes.
Right, but he is. I mean, he's an artist in general. He does write. He does sculpt.
That's true.
Sculpt.
Yeah, sculpt. Right. They think it's sculptures, and then the bones all come to life and turn into.
And they get invited up to spend the night to wait for Baltimore to show up. Yeah, it's a giant trap. Mm-hmm. For them in Baltimore, and really what they want is Baltimore. Baltimore does show up at the very end. Kicks the doors at the very end. Guns blazing.
I am waiting to see what happens.
Sure, it'll be a massive. If it is the end, I'm sure it'll be a massive climax, regardless of the outcome of whatever it is. The artwork I think is excellent by Ben Steinbeck. I think he does a great job.
Absolutely. The Mignola universe, you know, or Mignola, however you say his last name.
Mignola.
Okay. His universe, you know, it has those kind of muddier colors.
That's because it's Dave Stewart. Dave Stewart coloring.
Overall.
All of it's Dave Stewart coloring.
He's so wonderful. And that all over darkness to it that I like because you can just automatically pick up any one of a Hellboy, whatever, and it's going to be that same.
Yeah.
You really do feel like you're always in that universe.
It has a tone.
And it doesn't matter what time period you're in because this is not the time period.
Technically, Baltimore's not in the same universe as Hellboy.
I understand, but it's
Okay.
still the same
Oh yeah.
feeling.
Oh, without doubt, without
You
doubt.
know,
I didn't realize
the
that
same
when I was
mood.
first reading the
No,
Baltimore.
I
I didn't
didn't either
realize it.
because I thought that he was talking, but that makes sense because doesn't he talk to the professor about the fact? Isn't that who he's
Nothing
talking
in the Baltimore universe. Nothing really happens prior to World War II. There in the timeline of the Baltimore universe, there isn't stuff happening
before World War II?
before Hellboy, before Rasputin, freaking, cracks open the sky and they basically technically summon Hellboy. That's the first.
So that's the Hellboy universe.
That's
and
the Hellboy
Baltimore's
universe.
Before that, you're saying.
I don't know this before it, or it's just not
a
in the same
completely
existence.
separate-
It's like Star Wars and Star Trek are never in the same place. Never do they cross.
Right.
Kind of a
gotcha.
thing.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Anyway, either way, I like it.
Yeah. Really good book. This one wasn't like riveting. It didn't have any real. It didn't have the same punch that some of them have had, but still enjoyed it. A perfect setup for what's
Yeah,
next.
it was a very enjoyable backstory
Yep.
and a fun little surprise. I mean, not that anybody was really surprised when you walk in and you see these paintings, this creepy demonic thing, and you're surrounded by skulls and stuff. It's pretty
You know it's
obvious
gonna get bad.
that things are going to happen, but it
Yeah.
was still fun.
Yeah. Okay, next we're going to talk about Dead Boy Detectives, issue number 1 from Vertigo.
Yeah, and we read a little bit of their stuff, of things about them in the, what were those called?
Which is the Witching Hour? Is that the anthology that it was in?
I don't remember. I think so. Anyway, we read so many like anthology thingies there for a while. It seemed. This is fun. I enjoyed it. I like the art. I like the concept of they literally are dead boys. Look like they're from 2 different periods.
They are.
They both were murdered in the same
School.
And
Which
they're
obviously
trying to-
has a history of murdering people.
and also has a headmaster that hasn't changed since both of these boys went to the school.
Right.
He looks the same and seems to be the same creaky old age.
Right.
And it's kind of a, dark Victorian-y looking school.
Well, the first boy, the blonde ghost, he's from an era where they were still riding in stagecoaches to show up at the school.
Right.
I think when he's killed. I mean, he's very
And he's wearing
very
the
early on
old
the traditional
uniform.
uniform. The other boy seems to be like potentially from the 50s, 60s, something like that.
20th century.
Kind of a thing. But obviously, fast of friends, deeply terrified to go back to the school.
Yeah,
But
they
in this
both are.
story, they're forced to go back to the school. Why?
Because they kind of meet a girl who's having a near-death experience. She dies temporarily. One thing I'm going to say about this girl is that she is the daughter of these 2 crazy artists.
Performance artists.
And
All their names are ridiculously funny.
yes. her
Actually,
name
all
is-
the names
the
in it
daughter's
are
name
pretty
is
ridiculously
Crystal
funny.
Palace, for instance.
Yeah.
But I have to say that in a way it reminds me of a book that you gave me for Christmas by Chuck. Well, my sister and I jokingly call him Pull Up Chuck, the Fight Club author.
Okay.
Travis bought me Damned for Christmas, and in it there's a girl that goes to hell, and her parents are like movie people,
Uh-huh.
and they like Crystal Palace's parents. They love her and they'll give her whatever she wants.
But they're not real
But they're
parents.
totally obsessed with their own lives
Right.
and their own art.
Right.
And that's the same thing with Crystal. So anyway, when Crystal comes to somehow from these boys who have been trying to save her and solve this art theft mystery that really isn't a mystery because it's all a big piece of performance art. But anyway, they're trying to...
In which they
Either.
destroy Van Gogh's sunflowers.
I know, they do!
They
Oh my
actually literally
gosh.
drop it in the ocean and they surf on it for a while before it sinks.
Oops.
The ghosts do.
Oopsie.
I can't believe that.
But anyway, yeah, and now what? They have...
What was it?
Butt flowers.
What was it? Bum flowers.
Bum
flowers.
flowers,
Not
that's
sunflowers. It
right.
was bum flowers.
Oh, dear
Was the
God.
thing that's there.
Anyway,
Yeah.
however, she has somehow picked up the name of the school that they went to, and so she has decided that she is going to
Go to that school.
and
she
look
get
for more
transfer
ghosts
and look for
because
ghosts.
she enjoyed this conversation that she had with these 2 boys. And so because they know that they both met their end there,
They're
they are
gonna go
going there
protect her.
to kind of look out for her.
Despite-
and they can't believe that girls are allowed in the
School now, right? Because it was just a boys' school, and they're deeply afraid because obviously that.
Right, they
and then
both
when
died there.
then we also get a scene at the school where there's all these monitors, so it's obviously modern inside, watching everything, and somebody's talking about the fact that they basically, it sounds like the equivalent of they need a sacrifice. They need something to give to somebody for something. Now, we can assume that, at least I am going to assume, that the something, which if it's that, it's pretty simple, is, how's this headmaster basically having eternal life?
Right.
Is he feeding this to somebody or something? The book, to me, I really enjoyed it. I don't know that it's super deep or complicated or anything like that. It so feels like a Vertigo book. I know that a lot of that has to do with Mark Buckingham's artwork. Really, really makes it feel like a late '80s Vertigo book. I'm gonna keep getting it for a while just because it's pretty fun.
It's fun. It's like Dead Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
Only
basically.
not as wholesome.
And they're fun because they both write their own little journals about what's going on. Of course, they're not exactly the same because they interpret things differently, like all people do. So it's kind of funny that one's girl crazy, and he likes to point out that the other one's girl crazy. But it's a lot of fun.
Yes, so girl crazy that he gave their treehouse to girls who are keeping it.
Right.
How these girls who appear to be alive, right?
I don't know. I think they're ghosts too.
You think they're ghost girls? Well, that's interesting. Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay. Next, we're going to talk about To the True Lies, the Bambis Killjoys, issue number 6, the final issue.
I really feel like I should go back and reread this whole thing because there are parts of the end of it that I feel like I would get more out of if I was reading it again. This is one of those ones that was a slow starter for me. I really wanted to like it a whole lot at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. But as the story has gone through and woven together, I have really enjoyed it, and I really liked the end of this. I thought it was very good.
Yeah? Cool. Because I don't know many people who finished collecting it. Most people I know got halfway through it and then
it's worth it when you get to
dropped
the end.
it. Oops, sorry. Kick the camera.
Please excuse me. I promised I wouldn't. Anyway, yeah.
I still have Ethan here.
They should go back and check it out, or when it comes out in trade, they should check it out, because I think altogether as one 6-issue story, it's going to be a lot easier for the people who couldn't figure out what the heck was going on or what it was about to understand it, because at the end it all kind of makes sense, and it doesn't make sense in a we tied this in a neat little bow and gave it to you kind of way. It just does. And if you like post-apocalyptic-y kind of dark future, then this is a book that you should probably finish reading if you started it. Because I really liked it. And there were aspects of it I liked a lot.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
And I really liked the way that it ended.
For me, it ended like a rock and roll song. Ultimately, the whole series itself was like a song.
That makes sense.
It has its sloppy moments and
It
whatnot.
definitely has.
It has its sloppy moments, and
anyway.
well, because that's what it's based on. It's based off of My Chemical Romance song, and it has that feel to it. It felt, by the time it ended, it felt like a video. The way it ended to a large degree. I mean, except for the very final pages, they did. It felt to me like they tacked on some stuff that I didn't need to have tacked on. That they tacked on the end of it to kind of go, oh, it all got better at the end for some people or whatever.
Sure.
Which,
and I didn't need that either, but
I get why they do it.
Yeah.
But I didn't think they needed to. They could have left it after, Battery City, comes to its epiphany basically,
yeah.
and that would have been fine. But they add that little. But for me, that's what it felt like. It felt like I would describe this whole thing, partially because I know what it's based off of now, as being this, a small rock opera basically, and a video on paper. It's how I see it. I enjoyed it. I really liked the art. I enjoyed lots of aspects of it. The Drunkaloids and all the other crazy stuff that went on. But it also felt like there was lots of story in there that they could have done more with, and because they only gave us bits and pieces of it, it did feel like there should have been something there and wasn't there.
Right.
Not that I'm dissatisfied.
No, but like they committed to doing it in 6 issues, and maybe they should have either not gone into as much half detail as they did.
Yeah.
Or made it like,
Well,
I don't
okay,
wanna
so
say 12.
well, so what was the purpose? What was the purpose of the guy who is the I forget what they're called now. The elite gunmen that are
Right, the one who
that
wasn't
that are
supposed to
that are
love
that are
what
working
they were
for.
racing.
They're supposed to be working for the head of Battery City, and they're basically want to execute whoever. And
Right.
they're the guys that killed off the original Fabulous Killjoys,
Right.
and all of that, with the exception of the one main character. Well, another guy, I guess. So yeah, that one character, he kind of goes rogue. You know, he's having this whole other experience of gee, it would be nice not to be living under the thumb of the rulers of Battery City. You know, I could have a lover, I could do all this stuff and whatnot, and they take that all away from him and whatnot. That in itself would be a story that they showed us enough of to go, oh, there could be a lot of emotional pull and draw here, but didn't show us enough of it to have any of that be really satisfying, other than he's the person that gets to pull the trigger at the end. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so what was the
except for he
purpose of all
doesn't.
that? Right. So what was the purpose of all of that then? What was the purpose of his whole part of the story?
I think this, yeah, I understand, but it's like a 3-part story, 3 prongs. But I understand that felt.
But really only one part,
unresolved.
but only one part got solved then. If it's a 3-part story, only one part got solved, I think.
Well, I think 2.
You think Blue and the giant robot thing, that part of the story got told?
I think because what she told Destroya to
free
save
Fritz,
everyone, free everyone, and Destroya said that was a valid request.
Right.
And I feel as though she got her ending.
Okay, but she bleeds and all this stuff that's never really answered. I can see, I mean, there's an argument to be said that all this stuff didn't be answered. I can romantically, like I said, look at it as the rock opera with all this stuff that doesn't need to be answered. But if I want to look at it from a critical storytelling standpoint, I don't know that. I don't know that some of those points.
This could have been. I don't want to say like 18 issues, but it could have.
Well,
been,
don't name how many issues. They just should have filled in more of this stuff,
Yes,
right?
they should have.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Okay.
You feel better now?
Yes, I do.
I liked it though.
Oh, I did too. I really enjoyed it. I loved the art.
And I liked it much better as we went along than I did at the very beginning.
Yeah. I liked it from then. There were lots of cool things about that type of setting and that reality that I just get a chuckle out of. I get a chuckle out of all that kind of utopia, non-utopian, thing and whatnot. Like I said, like the Dracoloids, that whole concept of that.
And I thought it was interesting how
those
they
are-
had the sheet from the employee manual explaining exactly what happens
Yeah.
when they put the Dracula
yeah.
mask on you, and that
Yeah.
was
frightening and cool.
yes. And I love the part where it says, "Yep, their souls come out." Nope, it's not really our business or anybody's. What happens to their soul? We don't know. We
Yep.
don't care.
We just flush them.
It's gone.
Yep. So yeah, some cool stuff. There's like I said, there's lots of that for me can keep me reading a book for a very long time based on that. But now I'm at the end of it, I look back on the whole thing. There are those things about it that.
Yeah.
that
And I would like to read it again to
Sure.
maybe think about those things more.
Cool. Okay, so next we're going to talk about The Occultist number 4. Like I think 6. I think this is 6 issues. I think.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what they do for the last 2 issues because they've pretty much spent 4 issues doing an arc that is kind of resolved now, sort of.
Is it? Oh well, yes and no. Okay,
Yeah,
so we spent these
understands
issues
what
we
happens
spent the issues
to
going
him.
up to this, basically teasing him into doing something that there's a contract out there that he was not supposed to do. He doesn't realize it, but they tricked him into going into the realm of the dead,
Right.
where he's never supposed to go, and that raises the realm of the dead up to come busting down the gates and have a war with
Exactly.
Lion.
And the sword,
The power that's inside of it,
the
right.
power that he has, is supposed to desert him, and it is lessened. And I think he thinks it's lessened. It's been lessened over the last couple of issues because he's been using it so much.
Uh-huh.
But it's actually been lessened.
It's pulling away.
because it's deserting him because
Right.
he's breaking the rules.
Right.
But I think it's nice that finally all of the, because I think that I wouldn't have wanted to keep going for too much longer with him being so oblivious to
Hanging out with the bad people.
all the people that are manipulating him.
Hanging out with the metaphysical drug users.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
The death junkies.
The
It
death
still
junkies,
reminds
yeah.
me of Flatliners.
Oh,
Same
yeah,
kind of
sure,
thing.
sure, that sort of a deal. Yeah, definitely.
Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, two of you.
Yeah. At any rate, it's a Kevin Bacon film. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. I mean, it's not like blowing my socks or anything, but it's been fun to read.
Yeah, I
It's been
thought
fun
it
to
was
read.
fun too.
You know, curious to see where it goes. The cover art for most of these books are just been
Yeah,
have just been,
it's been really
excellent. But like I said, interesting. You know, yeah.
If they decided they wanted to make it a longer book or do another series, I would read it.
I'd check it out. Yeah, yeah. I'd check it out to see what they're doing. Yeah. I don't always like reactionary stories, and that's what this one is. This one's kind of it's not.
These things happen to him.
The protagonist isn't actually actively out doing anything. The protagonist is just kind of rolling with the flow, and then gets caught with his pants down, and is now trying to figure out how to get himself wherever.
That's true.
Those aren't always my favorite stories. I would like to see him and the detective woman going out and putting the screws to stuff. That's what I would like to see. If it was going to be like an ongoing or something
Sure.
like that, I'd want to see it be more of that than him cluelessly wandering along while all these evil forces jerk him around all the time.
Exactly. I agree with you there, and I hope that that's one of the things in the final twist is that we see more of the detective. And we're done.
That's it. It was a small week. 4 books for the week. A small week for me in comics.
I know.
The next week will be big.
Cool.
Which means I'll probably be by myself because no one will catch up reading comics with me.
Well, now you know I'll be there because
I've thrown down the glove.
yes, a challenge.
Drawn
has
a
been
line.
issued. I accept.
Yeah, okay. So, anyway, we'll see you next week. Talk about some more books.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.